Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hello and welcome once again to Quick Shot Reviews. I'm your host Luke and you are the Cheap Shot Nation. Quick Shot Reviews is obviously in association with Cheap Shot Entertainment, so make sure you go and check that out. Now, there's been slim pickings as far as movies are concerned when it comes to the cinema, and it's been a long time me doing this review because we are in lockdown 2 as we speak. But there was a few films that we went to go and see, and I went to go and see on my own. A couple of classics including Reservoir Dogs and Jurassic Park, but there were also some new movies that came out to a lot of hype, and a couple of horror movies to speak of as well. So I managed to get a preview of this next film, and it was Saint Maud. Film, it got me going. I saw the trailer, it was good. I read the reviews, they were good. And then I went to watch it. And it was boring. It had some great imagery, it had some great cinematography, the score was really good, but there was nothing that sort of got me fixated on the main character, wanted me to be on her side, and I think that was the aim in the end, but it was still really boring. So I'm going to get this off my chest now. I've been starved for decent cinema reviews, cinema films, cinema releases. They were due to release a lot of films before lockdown in March, going through to April and May, and coming through to September, October time. They've all been pushed back to 2021. I can't help but think that they are cutting the nose off to spite their face, because when they do try and release them in 2021, is there going to be any cinemas left for them to release them into? But that is a question that only the studios and the cinemas can ask and answer, in fact. I just didn't find this film lives up to the hype that it garnered from the poster, from the reviews, from everybody that went to see it previously to me. I'm not the only one that thinks this, but I just found it boring. Saint Maud is based on a patron saint in Germany, I think, a patron saint of misbehaving children or something like that, I think I read. And it's about a reclusive nurse whose impressionable demeanour causes her to pursue a perilous path to try and help her charge, and someone who she's caring for, take the right choices, make the right choices. Her religious beliefs have gotten so intense that she's willing to do pretty much anything to change the behaviour of her the person in her care, and does nothing really. The person in her care basically is an ex-stage star and just takes the pee, really, and from some decent sort of build-up, there was nothing happening. It was very dialogue heavy. I get that's what they were going for. I'm not gonna be too harsh on this film because it is a directorial debut, and we do need more people to start directing movies, because the ones that are doing them now will always get the money, the big money jobs, but it's the ones that come in, that slip in on the underbelly, that really are the ones of interest to me. I'd say this 100 times, Ready or Not was absolutely brilliant, and it's because it didn't have that big studio influence behind it that made it good. And there's plenty of other good horror movies that didn't have big studio influence that were absolutely fantastic, and I've watched quite a few of them during lockdown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take what was written in the poster and just tell you my thoughts on that. So I'm reading off my computer, which is why my head keeps going down there. I usually have my iPad set up. So the first review says that this is an unholy, holy terror of brilliant blood-freezing insanity, and that came from Variety magazine. They must have watched a different film to me, because attempting to nail the eerie appearance via the setting, the dour colours, the film undermines each chance for a chill that it gets, and this is heightened by slapping on a terrible, ill-judged industrial grind in terms of the score, which gets increasingly more grating as you go along, which rumbles until the extremely grating on the nose ending. Yeah, I'm really impressed with that writing, actually, because I'd usually just do this from memory. Yeah, it does have a really fiery ending to this one, and yeah, I suppose in terms of religious imagery it's really intense, but I mean, by that point I think the ending was meant to make me go, whoa, holy whatever, and it just didn't, because I didn't care, and that's the main thing here. I didn't really have a reaction to it, and it's quite intense, and that to me makes this film bad. It just doesn't work for me. I know some people it will work for, and I'm not getting at them, but for me, no. Second, wickedly unnerving, a religious experience. Every breath is suspenseful. IndieWire. No, it's not. There's bugger all intensity. There's bugger all suspense here. We know she's nuts. That's the suspense taken away. That's pretty much grounded from the off, and there's no sudden realization. This girl, this nurse who's supposed to be helping people, is actually the one that needs helping. I figured that out within 2 minutes of going into the movie theatre and the film starting. But it's attempting to burn the candle at both ends. You've got a caring individual, and then you've got this insanity that takes over her because she's insanely religious. And it's a bit of a take on how religion can draw people in and get them to do things that the normal people wouldn't do. This is due to the permanent distance that is kept from Maud, and is kept ruining chances for psychological suspense and depth in the horror that it's trying to give. Maud's relationship with Amanda, that's who she's caring for, whilst I appreciate the attempt at altering religious images into stark symbolism, this lands with a subtly this lands with the subtlety of a sledgehammer to the face. Like I say, the burning ending, there's like everything's thrown at you in the last 10 minutes, and there's nothing in between. The reason that it's very similar to The Exorcist, only The Exorcist is actually good. Yes, that's a slow burn, but there's something there as you go along, a creeping morality, a creeping psychological horror that works. This does not work. It doesn't creep. It gets there so quickly that it's unbelievable, and there's no need to watch the rest of the film. So again, made me really upset that I'd gone to watch this film thinking it was going to be good. Like I say, I'm starved of new horror. It never lets up. St. Maud shakes you to your very core. That's come from Collider. Don't even know what Collider is. Like I say, directorial debut. It's tempting to be loud and brash, but it falls so hard on its own face, trying to borrow things from The Shining, from Rosemary's Baby, and as I've mentioned, The Exorcist, and it just does not work at all. Trying to bring the religious stuff into it takes too long. The middle part is just so long. I'm going to get out an accordion. I'm going to build a wall. Middle part is just so long with nothing happening. There's no reasoning to it. It's just bad. It's just bad. It's just a bad movie. Other popular films like The Vivitch and Hereditary and It Follows. I'm in the minority here, and I don't particularly like any of those films. I thought they were all quite boring. Maybe Hereditary, certainly It Follows. I've watched that like 3 or 4 times and I still can't. I get it. It's just not scary, and it doesn't work. The Vivitch, again, it's got some really good imagery, and that's how to do the religious side, the Puritan thing, and it's set in a different time and it's cool. You got was it Black Adam the goat, or Adam the Black Goat, and that turned out to be something really cool as well. Hereditary is just so in your face, but I still don't particularly get on with it. Again, I've watched it a couple of times and it's just not a film for me. Had a lot of potential, but it never quite reached that high that it wanted to get to. Perhaps it was when it was released, but the film probably wouldn't. It's a horror. People would have gone and seen it, but it wouldn't have broke any records or anything like that. For me, this one is a definite rating of avoid it. I wouldn't bother with this one. Thought it was very, very disappointing. But if you have seen it, if you did go and see a preview like I did, or you saw it back in 2019 or whenever it was released officially, please do get in touch. Mention it in the comments. Tell us what you thought of St. Maud. And with that, you are the Cheap Shot Nation. I have been your host Luke, and you have been watching Quick Shot Reviews for Cheap Shot Entertainment, and I will see you next time. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.
Hiya.